What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. There's a conversation going on right now surrounding Ghost of Yotei. This is the game that is the follow-up to Ghost of Tsushima. It's a game that I'm looking forward to playing, but now the game has entered the polarization zone. It was going to skate by because the developers at Sucker Punch, we know their premise. We know that they're basically Akira Kurosawa nerds. For those of you who may or may not know, this is a filmmaker from Japan who has a very interesting style. Some of even the filmmakers, games seem to be an inspiration for the Ghost of Yotei game. You can't deny it. Like, you can see that these guys are trying to actually follow his pattern, in their own production. In fact, in Ghost of Tsushima, there's what's called Kurosawa mode, where the game basically takes on the cinema effect that Akira Kurosawa was known for some of his movies. Ghost of Yotei, on the other hand, I think is also following some of his, female femme fatale style movies that he's done in the past. And I think the developers more than likely wanted to explore that as, say, some kind of experiment in the grand scheme of things. This is why, as I'm looking at it from my perspective, all of the, polarization going on is not going to change my mind because, yes, there are some things that I'll be honest with you are abrasive to potential fans. For instance, Sean Layden saying, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And even people saying that the VA, the voice actress, she also has a really huge stance politically and ideologically against those who differ from her. I made a video pointing out that, I would hope that next time Sony and Sucker Punch and all of these companies that want to make money will follow Michael Jordan's, fun statement that he made back in the day when his mom was trying to goad him to go ahead and endorse a political candidate from one party. And apparently he told his friends that Republicans buy sneakers too, meaning he didn't care much about the politics when the green was involved. That's what I take it as, even though when he was asked about it, he said he said that statement in jest, and it was it's a material reality. If you want to sell a product to people whom, you probably will differ from in, say, political ideology and so on and so forth, it's probably best for you to be able to put your politics and your ideologies aside so that you can reach a wider audience. Today, nonetheless, I wanted to go ahead and point out something because there already is the conversation that, people or most gamers do not want to play the game or do not want to play as, female characters in these video games. Now, I think this is a very nuanced conversation because that's, number one, not true in a sense. I think maybe if you think about the concerns that you might be hearing, it might be people who have not really taken, Sucker Punch's approach to making Ghost of Yotei, at face value. And that's just the reality. They don't believe that Sucker Punch is actually trying to pursue Kurosawa's, methodologies in production. They just think that, Jin Sakai has been replaced by a female character. But for you to be able to go ahead and say it's because they don't want to play as, female characters is actually not true. It's actually false. Seeing that a game that just recently came out that was heavily controversial, not because of the similar things that, you're seeing going on with, the Assassin's Creed game, but what you're seeing in terms of the game's presentation of a female character, and many of you know exactly what game I'm talking about, that's Stellar Blade. You can see that that's not the case. In fact, gamers will be happy, most of them, to play as female characters. But then at the same time, though, to be very honest, not every gamer wants to play as a female character. This is just the reality. If you ask a female gamer if she wanted to play as a male character, she may say yes, she may say no. If you ask a male gamer if they want to play as a female character, they may say yes, they may say no. I think it's all about establishing the characters in an original way in order for people to find it believable at the end of the day. But seeing how, a game like Stellar Blade was basically treated, I don't think anybody was making that claim at the point, but instead it was more of an agenda that the character was probably way too presented in a way that was probably too sexualized. And, this was a problem for some of the people who were objecting against it and so on and so forth, which if you ask a lot of people, if the game had probably left the PlayStation platform, many of these people would have played the game on their preferred platform. In fact, many people were looking forward to play the game on their preferred platform until PlayStation blocked it by money hatting. And there are conversations now that it's going to PC because, again, after all the talk that, the shareholders were happy to invest in, Shift Up, their stock prices and their shares, according to some reports, are starting to see some changes that they could probably mitigate if their game was available for more people. So I don't think this particular Ghost of, Yotei situation is as a result of people just exclusively not wanting to play as, a female character. I think it's one of two things. One, where they don't really know that the developers are probably trying to take this approach, or they do not believe that the developers are trying to take a Kurosawa approach to make a femme fatale. I think that category is one thing. And then the second one is that on seeing a lot of the, receipts from the VA and their personal posts and their, online, activity, it seems like a lot of these gamers think that this person is probably, antagonistic to their personal values. Hence, they've decided that they don't care to play the game. However, a game like, Shift Up Stellar Blade isn't facing that because the developers have not come out with any political or ideological stance. Instead, if anything, they've pretty much shown up and said, hey, man, we just want to make a game. And if you're interested in playing the game, play the game. And I think this is where the difference actually lies if you actually pay attention to things. One crazy one that I thought was going to be, interesting for you guys was a game that, faced a lot of criticism when it came out. And I'm sure it's, it was mostly from a lack of understanding of, a lot of things about the game. And that was Gotham Knights. And what was very interesting is, regardless of a lot of the criticisms that Gotham Knights faced, Batgirl in Gotham Knights is actually super popular in the sense that a lot of players were like, yeah, I actually would be happy to play as Batgirl in a video game. And they actually did. Now, some of them were fawning over the character model and all of that. But, guys would usually do things like that, just like, with Stellar Blade and all of these conversations going around. But I think that was just, a lot of it is just tongue in cheek and just, playful banter. But at the end of the day, it really did go to show that for the most part, female characters and, male gamers are not things that are, in a sense, mutually antagonistic to one another. And then another side of the coin is in fighting games. In fighting games, female characters, it doesn't even matter. Like, it's a character archetype that the player likes to play as that eventually, that the player is actually going to main. And, I think a lot of these tropes need to basically be pointed out because it could be misunderstood or misconstrued that, the reason people don't want to play a specific game is because of, some personal bias or bigotry that they have, like being chauvinist or whatever it is, when in reality, there are other circumstances that do surround the situation at hand. So I wanted to go ahead and point this stuff out because, again, you're seeing the conversations, you're seeing things change, and me having, looked at the whole Ghost of Yotei game and looked and said, okay, well, I think these guys being Kurosawa nerds are trying to pursue what Akira Kurosawa, I think is his first name, has done in some of his cinematics and his, art productions and, movies. I'm going to be willing to play Ghost of Yotei, no doubt about that. Even though Sean Layden is over there, I don't know why he decided to make that statement. That's just a very interesting thing to say, but that's just my stance. Some people may not believe it. Some people may say, nah, man, VG, you're crazy. This is not, this is not what we believe. And that's fine. We can all have our opinions as to why we want to engage with the game or not engage with the game. So thanks for watching. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we can talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.